Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been tested so much, all these restless nights, all these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to creep in.
Oh, hi vlog. Who is this?
How's it going?
I'll let him introduce himself.
My name's Sammy. I made Aliyah in November, born and raised in London, England, in a big and amazing Jewish community. And it's just great to be here.
By the way, guys, we're walking in the streets of Tel Aviv. Just
So busy.
all of a sudden. But I mean, it was very, I don't know if this is it's not a typical day in Tel Aviv. We are experiencing a different type of war than we've been in the last year and 7-8 months.
I think we're about to come and see that right now.
Yes. We have been preemptively attacking Iran. Iran, of course, has attacked back. And I'm gonna flip the camera around so you guys can see what's going on.
Peace through strength. The Iranian regime will fall, and the Middle East will be a safer place than Europe.
Ooh, what the? Wow. Okay, guys, so the Iron Dome and all the different types of defense weapons that we have, sometimes they miss, is the reality of it. I think in one of the first days there were 200 missiles. Last night there were about 100, something of that sort. And so I'm gonna zoom in for you guys so that you can see, like, it's just destruction. So what you guys see here is literally people's houses that are quite literally no longer, some of them probably not really livable. And
Just a minute ago, we saw a guy filling up buckets full of glass, emptying his house of shattered glass. And like you said, Oriel, I mean, the Iron Dome shoots down about 95% of what's fired at us, even before it reaches our airspace. We have the F-35 fighter jets busy shooting them down to help us stay sleeping comfortably at night. I was sat here for a coffee last week.
oh. So guys, the streets of Tel Aviv are a bit hectic right now in certain areas. As you can see, everywhere is a bit chaotic where this happened.
But I want to say that this should not lead Jews to believe that it's not safe for us here. The situation rooms and the bunkers that we have in almost every single building are life-saving. And unfortunately, when you look at the likes of the UK, Europe, Canada, I just don't see the same prioritization of the safety of the citizens in any capacity as you see here. This is what the Jewish people are about.
Jews are in the fight for their lives all the time, and yet we not just value life, like Sammy said, but we value the living of our lives, you know? So like the fact that we can sit and eat, sandwiches over there in peace.
Under smashed windows
Yes,
from the night before.
Under smashed windows. Like we have a sense of like, let's get up and let's live our day. We still got up and we chose to live. And that's what I'm trying to convey. We're not...
That's winning.
Yeah, it's winning.
That's what I've been saying along those lines. I mean, we took away their big boy toy of mass destruction. All they have is terror and the ability to instill fear. And they are winning if we stop living our lives. They're winning if we are begging and are tearful all the time, and that's what we choose to focus on. With my content, and this is controversial, especially within the Jewish community, I try not to focus on the damage which is being done to us and the people that have been stolen from us and are still in captivity. What I've found within myself is that when I see these videos of the Hamas atrocities and I hear the news of whatever it is being done to my people, I'm angry and upset for a second, and that turns into motivation for action. I see our community like an orchestra, and it's mostly made up of violinists, and which is a beautiful thing, and it's an important thing to acknowledge the sadness, to acknowledge the trauma, and to share our grief, because that's a way of getting through it. But unfortunately, an orchestra also needs drummers, and we are desperately lacking drummers. So we need people who react to this trauma in a proactive way. So as soon as I realized that when I left the Jewish community, how vulnerable we are, I went back to learning self-defense. And I also went and started for the first time in my life really paying attention to learning about Jewish and Israeli history, or this one in the same. But because that's also, to me, that's just as valid a form of self-defense as self-defense physically. Because I could not be sat in a room with people lying and libeling about my community and without something to say back. It's meaningful. And of course, the self-defense that I've been training for a long time gives me the confidence in many scenarios, and I probably would never have started doing the content that I'm doing without having trained self-defense, because it gives you the confidence to stick true to exactly what you believe and not temper your opinions for anyone or any environment. And that's something I really believe strongly in, and it's something that most of the Jewish community, I would argue, is pretty poor at. Even Jews in positions of leadership, they find themselves pandering to other people. You see Jews in the diaspora believing that if only they just separate themselves from the Israeli government, if they condemn the Israeli government, people will stop hating us. Maybe if we leave Judea and Samaria, they'll stop hating us. What's next? We leave Tel Aviv, they'll stop hating us.
Look, that place doesn't even have windows, like that's it. It is literally all shattered. Wow. Yikes. And there's... It's just chaos here, and you can see literally all the buildings around. Guys, it makes me so, I'm not like by nature an angry person, but it makes me angry.
You have the demonization of people who talk out against immigrants who do not want to assimilate. There's over 2,000 mosques in the UK, and surveys show that over 50% of UK Muslims support Hamas and are sympathetic with Hamas. So not only are over 50% of Muslims in the UK supportive and sympathetic of Hamas, but more British Muslims have left and joined ISIS than have joined the British Armed Forces.
Really?
And that sounds like it's crazy to say every time I say it, but I'm so done with being upset about the situation there, and I'm just more in this position of urgency. And I strongly believe that places like the UK and Canada, the Jews do not have a future. And when I say to people, I think the Jews should be leaving places like France, like England and like Canada, they say, oh, I'll leave when it gets too bad. I have to ask, what does getting too bad look like? Is that them on their doorstep, on your doorstep? Has your door been kicked in? Is that when it's too bad?
We've been talking a lot about strength and a lot about, courage and bravery. And I'm wondering where the, to balance things out, like there is great hope that you carry in your heart. Because a courageous person also has hope in their heart, right? They fight for something that they believe in. What is your message of hope to the Jewish people living abroad and the Jewish people living here when maybe perhaps they're not as brave as you are, they're not as naturally courageous?
I really love that question, because when people see courage, they think superhuman. And I think it's such a terrible misconception. First of all, what you said, natural courage. There's no such thing as natural courage.
No?
No. The biggest misconception is that courage is people who don't feel fear. It's the opposite. It's people who feel fear, they get that adrenaline and they use it to their advantage. And that takes training, that takes understanding, and it takes time. That's something that really needs to be understood by people who don't feel courageous or bold in their own lives. So I always say that I try to put myself through physical pain or stress so that I'm better able to cope with the stress and the difficulty that life puts on me. And I think that's what all humans should strive to do. It teaches you how to control your mind and teaches you how to react to pain or to these bullies that we face. Because I see straight through them. And you see these people, you can see that the inside that they're full of pain and they're reacting to something in a way that is just totally irrational, and that they're not actually formidable or strong individuals for the most part. And honestly, I'm actually quite an emotional person. We were just saying, I'm actually kind of a mummy's boy. But I think the most courageous people are emotional people for the reasons I've just said, because you have to be in touch with your emotions and understand your body's natural reactions to things. Like, for example, if you see a bear, your heart's going to start pounding, you're going to get adrenaline, but that adrenaline serves a purpose, not just to make you start quivering in your boots. The adrenaline serves a purpose to then get you to run. And if you can't naturally go from the fear to the run, then you're not understanding the processes of your body or your mind properly, which is why I'm a massive proponent of physical exercise and meditation and things like that. And I think things like traveling around the world and trauma, unfortunately, like October the 7th, have made me realize just how fragile things like material things like abundance and freedom are, which has just drawn me closer to the more basic things which allow me to stay happy and satisfied with life despite everything and despite all my focus is going on this broad fight. Pretty much.
All right, guys, we're going to take some rapid fire questions that you guys sent in to Sammy. I heard that Israeli people are rude. Not the Israelis in Israel, but Israelis abroad. Is that true?
It's a good question because they've been getting a bad rap. I don't think so. I think they are, with a British lens, they can be definitely perceived as rude. I think they're just very true to their emotions in the moment. I understand it from a cultural perspective, and I prefer the culture here to in England for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that in England we're so polite it's almost unproductive. It is unproductive. It's a beautiful thing here once you're used to it and once you're over that cultural barrier. But no, I think Israeli tourists for the most part are great.
Who's your most inspiring Bible character, if at all?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Because I'm not hugely familiar with the Bible. I learnt it as a kid. Nachshon. Nachshon is the man who stepped out into the sea before it split as the Jews were leaving Mitzrayim. As the Jews were leaving Egypt, he stepped out into the sea, and apparently the water was up to his face before it started to split. And he's the one that steps out into the fire and shows everyone that it's not actually that hot, and that you really need to face the difficulty, because it's not as difficult as it seems.
Next question, did he finally move to Israel?
Of course. I've been living in Israel for longer than 6 months now. I got my citizenship in November. I've never felt so at home in my life. My extended family is here, and I can't wait till the rest of my family joins me.
That'll be amazing. What is the most British habit that you have?
Politeness.
And then the last one, where do you draw your strength from when you feel like you're at the end of yourself?
That's great. Where do I draw my strength from? I feel like I have a responsibility. That's why I started doing what I was doing in the first place, whether it was teaching self-defense or going to these rallies and interviewing the protesters. I feel like I have a responsibility. And I think once people understand in themselves that it's not that difficult to fight in their own individual way, and everyone has their role. It doesn't all have to look like my fight or someone else's fight. Everyone has their own fight. It's about the fight internally, and once you've got the fight internally, externally comes much easier.
I love that. That was a great rapid fire. You guys had really great questions. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to all of them, but it has been a day here. It's been hot, it's been chaotic, it's been meaningful. But most importantly, I at least hope that you guys are encouraged, because I am on the constant quest for what courage looks like. And I think that everyone carries a different type of, facet of that courage, and we can all learn from each other. So I hope that You guys have learned just as I have learned from Sammy. As always, you guys can follow Sammy Yehood down here in this link. And also there'll be articles of his coming out. You can check them out in his profile. He's not asking this, I'm asking this. Sammy does this all without, any support. He does what he does. And so you guys can go into his link, Buy Me Coffee, in his Instagram bio and help him out there. Because this place ain't cheap. Any last thoughts, mister?
Thank you, Oriel. Just thank you.
Thank you. Okay guys, if you are new here, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. If you're not new here, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in a vlog.
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength. Very soon. So guys,
Let's start that again. I absolutely love Levi. He really is a hero. He's one of my good friends. British originally. He's a...
We're fine.
Leave that in.